What I'm going to try and do over these next couple months leading up to hunting season is give a visual video guide on what I'm doing. Since COVID, I've had a lot of people reach out asking for advice. Where do you go? What do you do? What are you looking for? Just general how to hunt. It seems like a lot of people have gotten into it and they don't have a lot of resources showing them where to go and how they're setting up and what you're actually looking for. So I figured I would start carrying the camera with me while I go out on scouting and show you exactly what we're doing. This time of year in April, it's a lot of covering ground. I'm looking for transition areas, looking for fresh sign, I'm looking for tracks, I'm looking for where people hunted last year or where they're currently hunting. In this piece of ground here, this is federal, so the United States of America owns it. You're supposed to have your tree stands removed. Not everybody does that. Generally, you can see rub marks on the side of the trees from where the straps were or the ladders. As you can see here, you're finding crossings in fresh grass, which will give you an idea for early season where the deer are moving. So as we go through the next couple of months, I'll upload videos as I go out into different pieces of woods, checking on where I hunt. And we're going to point out trails like that, along with other cues that you should be looking for and where to set up. We'll also make some videos on how to set up, what the best scenarios are for different situations that we can find. So stay tuned and follow along. So right here we have a deer trail coming out of a wooded, wet area. It seems to be that the deer are bedding down on this side, having the wind in their face coming off of the trail for a northwest wind. So what we're going to do is follow this trail across the main trail up onto an oak ridge and see where they're going and if there's a spot you can set up. There's some fresh coyote scat. A lot of my time in the spring is spent following these deer trails. You're looking normally for older sign, since most of the time this part of the year the deer are heavy on browse, so they're not going to be milling about eating acorns. But these oak ridges are going to be the main food attraction come fall. So I generally just creep along, following the trails, and start looking for an open area. As it cornered the edge of a wet area, there's not a lot of shot opportunity from a tree stand or on the ground, especially with an arrow, but those deer are going to feel comfortable moving through here. So right up ahead here, it starts to open up a little bit. This is generally where I'll start looking up into the trees, and since I'm on the trail, I'm trying to find a location with an open view to set a stand in. As you can see, it opens up a little bit, and you normally will have about a 10-yard shot right here, 15 yards at the most. And I start just circling out and looking for the best scenario and the best tree to set up in. Together, and they're making a V. This maple tree right to the right side that we just walked by will present a shot at both trails. you have about 10 yards in front of you and about 12 yards down to your left shoulder. This is where I'm going to put a mark, and I can come back later in the season to see if it's worth setting up. A little further down the main trail, I just bumped deer. About 4 or 5 got up, 30 yards, 40 yards off the trail. They were bedded on the other side of the wet stuff where we originally came in on. They had the wind in their face, and they took off as soon as my scent got into their noses. So what I'll do here is cruise in and check out where they were bedding and mark it. So as you can see, going into this area right here, this is a super heavy fresh trail. Those deer came in here very recently, and you'll see the deer beds are kind of littered about in the open area in the sunny spots. Nice northwest wind blowing the scent straight into their nostrils. Here's a hard track here, right towards the corner of the main high line. A lot of time deer will want to parallel instead of crossing, and you'll find these heavy trails on the inside of major human road access, whether it's pavement or dirt road, high line access, a lot of dirt bike trails, etc. I'll follow these until they go down into a feeding area or a spot to set up. Most of the time these deer are traveling these at nighttime or very early, very late when they don't want to cross. And 90% of the time you're going to find a tree stand set up at the end of this. Just to show you how heavy this trail is, you can see the log that's been rotted and smashed down from the deer stepping over it so often. This is a good sign that the trail gets used all the time. So like I said, right down along the edge, here's an old tree stand set up. There's a good chance this guy's not hunting this tree stand anymore with the condition it looks like it's in. So I generally mark them and come back in the early season. Some of these stands on federal land are leftovers. A lot of gun hunters will just leave their stuff up, and they're only hunting the 7-day shotgun season. So it's good to check on these and see if it's still being utilized or not. So, believe it or not, nobody set up here. I'm going to mark it down and hopefully try and set up a location if it seems to have fresh sign in the fall. I can tell you that the main reason is the high lines are super thick with a lot of briars and a lot of brush, so it's going to be difficult to get into this spot without cutting up your legs. Next, I'm going to show you a quick overview of the OnX with the 2 locations that we found today. We put in about a little over 3 miles and got 2 new hunting spots, hopefully, at least something to check out in the fall. So here we have the couple spots that we found today. The last spot we were just at, I put in here as a crossing area. It's super open. It could have all kinds of different sign coming in. You can kind of see the different transition of these wet woods right here. So it's a good area for them to skirt this corner and cross where they want to cross. The other spot that we picked up is this old tree stand right here. Something we can check out later in the year. And then down here is right where we jumped those deer that were bedded. And that main trail runs right through here. And this is that wet area that we followed in and found the 2 trails that cross each other along the area of the wet. So most likely you're going to be hunting these deer. Stay tuned for some more updates, hopefully later in the season. I think the next spot I'm going to get to is a private lease spot, and it's more open wood, so you should be able to see some more areas to hunt.